Chapter 25, Section 4, The Cold War at Home. Reading objectives. Describe Truman's effort to fight communism at home. Explain how spy cases increase the fear of communism. Analyze the rise and fall of McCarthy and the methods of McCarthyism.
Following World War II, the fear of communists rose within Americans. This was known as a Red Scare. People were afraid communism would sabotage the American lifestyle. The feelings of fear were shared by many. J. Howard McGrath, an attorney general, claimed communists are everywhere.
Propaganda was heavily used in America in order to unite all citizens to fight against communism.
The Crusade for Freedom made possible the World Freedom Bell, symbol of hope and freedom to the communist-dominated peoples of Eastern Europe, and built this powerful 135,000-watt Radio Free Europe transmitter in Western Germany. The Crusade for Freedom is your chance and mine to fight communism. Join now by sending your contributions to General Clay, Crusade for Freedom, Empire State Building, New York City.
Truman implemented a federal employee loyalty program to screen federal workers. He wanted to protect Americans' trust in the government and ensure loyalty. The Smith Act banned citizens from advocating the violent overthrow of the government. Congress also took precautions against communists by creating the House of Un-American Activities Committee. The HUAC investigated U.S. citizens in high-profile hearings to stop fascist, Nazi, and communist activity.
The most popular of these trials was the Hollywood 10 investigation. 10 popular actors were accused of communist activity, and during their trial they refused to answer any questions regarding the case.
These are the Hollywood 10. These 8, and these 2. In the fall of 1947, they were subpoenaed to appear before the House Committee on Un-American Activities, whose chairman was J. Parnell Thomas. They did not behave to Mr. Thomas's satisfaction, and they were declared to be in contempt of Congress. They were tried and declared guilty. They appealed their cases to the higher courts, and their appeal was denied. All 10 are now in federal prison, serving 1-year sentences.
After this hearing, a blacklist circled through the entertainment industry, listing people who shouldn't be hired because of suspected communist activity. The biggest fear of aggressive communism that arose for Americans was that freedom of speech was not guaranteed. Many lost jobs due to accusations. Those with communist ties were seen as disloyal and trust ran thin. Communist spies in America were working to hinder the progress of the United States. Alger Hiss was a very influential, dedicated government servant. He was put on trial by the HUAC for being a suspected communist espionage agent. Although many Americans believed he was innocent, in his second trial he was found guilty and sentenced to 5 years in prison.
Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were charged for passing nuclear secrets to the Soviet Union. Both were found guilty and were sentenced to death by electrocution. This trial led to an uproar of controversy. Many Americans thought anti-Semitic views altered the outcome of the trial.
Joseph R. McCarthy, a popular senator, believed that the government was full of communist spies. McCarthy was known for his excessive and extensive allegations. His absurd accusations led to the term McCarthyism, which represents extreme, reckless charges.
With increasing power and supporters, he began to aim for larger targets. At the peak of his powerful standing, McCarthy claimed the U.S. Army was full of communists. The televised hearing exposed McCarthy's bullying tactics and left many Americans upset with him. The senator lost all his power after the hearing.
The reason why we find ourselves in a position of weakness is not because the enemy has sent men to invade our shores, but rather because of the traitorous actions of those who have had all the benefits that the wealthiest nation on earth has had to offer. The finest homes, the finest college educations, and the finest jobs in government we can give. I have here in my hand a list of 205 individuals that were known to the Secretary of State as being members of the Communist Party and who nevertheless are still working and shaping the policy of the State Department.
It's not until McCarthy turned his attention to the United States Army in 1954 that his reign of terror came to an end and he was censured by the United States Senate. The American people were treated to the full terror of McCarthyism after the Army hearings were televised. In an infamous exchange during those televised hearings, in which McCarthy attacked a young Army officer, the Army's chief counsel thundered at the senator, "Have you no sense of decency, sir?" which encapsulated the turn against McCarthy in this period. By the time the televised Army hearings ended, McCarthy lost much of his popular support.
The end of the Korean War and the fall of McCarthy led to the deterioration of the Red Scare and a more united America.